First, I must start by apologizing for my uniform because I dressed myself to go to the airport, and therefore I apologize to this august assembly for not appearing with the right dressing. Second of all, I think Madam the President has covered the whole aspects of the crime of the 1988 massacre against the political prisoners. And also the eminent lawyer, Juan Garces, has put the legal frame for considering holding the perpetrators of the massacre to account. So what I would like to put to you now is that Mr. Garces has recommended a workshop to start working towards setting up a procedure for eventual prosecution of the perpetrators. And I would like to reassure you that this workshop has already started. So within the framework of an association of international lawyers founded in London, the association is called Justice for the 1988 Massacre of Political Prisoners in Iraq, in Iran, in short, JVMI. JVMI has worked on gathering the evidence against possible persecutors of the political prisoners and the perpetrators of the massacre. In gathering the evidence, we have followed strictly the criteria applied by the fact-finding missions of the United Nations. And we have only put down the evidence that is beyond any doubt. So, in doing so, we had to eliminate a large amount of data. And we ended up by identifying 70 suspect perpetrators who are beyond any doubt involved in this massacre. Documentation is available. We made it available to the United Nations. We made this available to the High Commissioner of Human Rights. And we also made it available to the diplomatic community worldwide. Now, we have identified a large number of perpetrators, and also I think Madam the President Rajavi has put her hand on the type of crime that has been committed. And let me tell you that international lawyers of the caliber of Jeffrey Robinson, who is not only he is an international lawyer, he is a specialist on crimes against humanity, but he is also a judge of the United Nations. Jeffrey Robinson has qualified the massacre of 1988 not only a crime against humanity, but could amount to a crime of genocide. So this is now documented. And among the other evidence we gathered, which is published in a separate document by JVMI, is the location of the mass graves. The location of the mass graves is very well identified, very well located, and whoever challenges this allegation, we invite them, and I did already. In Geneva, I invited the diplomatic community to take the evidence and go on the spot to check it. So we have identified the crime, we have identified the possible perpetrators, and we have identified the victims. All that is now documented. And obviously, as was clearly explained by Mr. Garces, how are we going to proceed? What are the paths to arrive to our goals? And I would say I have a very humble experience with the case of General Hassan al-Bashir of Sudan. In 2005, a very small number of NGOs, we met in Kampala, in Uganda. And a lot of people told us, you are dreamers, you are dreaming. You cannot take a head of state to the International Court of Penal Court. Believe it or not, we started the activity in February 2005. In 2010, we achieved the referral of the Security Council of the case of al-Bashir to the International Criminal Court. And since then, General Bashir has been on the run, a fugitive. It's not just al-Bashir. There is also Hassan Habri of Chad. He's been prosecuted in Senegal for the crimes he committed in Chad. And he is serving a life imprisonment right now in Senegal. That was an arrangement with the African Union, but still he was tried by a national court in the context of the universal jurisdiction. So to come back to our case of the massacre of 1988, together with Amnesty International, we have identified 120 countries which could entertain the universal jurisdiction in cases of crimes against humanity, crimes of war, and crimes of genocide. So, just to underline that we are not dreaming. There is a possibility of doing it. It's not easy. The International Criminal Court requires a referral because Iran is not a member of this court. When we talk about the Security Council, we know that there are political expediencies sometimes impeaches any referral. But in politics, things change and change very quickly. So the situation we live today at the Security Council can't be permanent. It changes. The other point I would like to underline is the idea of holding the perpetrators of the crime of 1988 massacre accountable. The purpose is not to go around and arrest people and put them in prisons. I think we must learn from al-Bashir's experience, where he reached the situation. He cannot travel anywhere before negotiating his immunity. He became a real refugee, a fugitive, and wherever he goes, they have to smuggle him through the borders in order to save him from being arrested and put to trial. His last experience with the courts in South Africa is a guiding experience. So this is why I don't want to speak to you as strictly as a lawyer, but I would like to say, in terms of NGO activism, it's up to the activism that will be undertaken by concerned associations to find the path towards arresting and prosecuting. And we have been very successful in doing this kind of procedures against a large number of perpetrators from different countries, from Latin America, from Africa, and elsewhere. So I would like to say to you that within JVMI, we need to be more mobilized. We need to be persistent, and we need to be patient. But we know this kind of crimes and their prosecution take time. But as long as the mullahs will be aware that there is a possibility of arresting them and put them to court, they too will be negotiating their immunity wherever they travel. So if we achieve this within the activities of JVMI, I think we should be happy with the procedure, and there will be a day when we will be more ambitious is to arrest and prosecute. And this is feasible, it's achievable, we will do it. Thank you.